Welcome, everyone. My name is Risha Mandelkorn, and I'm delighted to have the honor of hosting artist Todd Jameson at our special One Book, One Aurora workshop, Birth Totems. With Todd's permission, I would like to offer a land acknowledgement.
Please.
We are all immigrants and children of immigrants to Canada. We gratefully acknowledge the original caretakers of this land. Today, this gathering place is home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples. And as we share this space, acknowledging Indigenous nations reminds us of our important connection to this land. Aurora Public Library is located in the Dish with One Spoon territory. The Dish with One Spoon is a treaty between the Anishinaabe, Mississaugas, and Haudenosaunee. We all eat out of the dish, all of us who share this territory, and there is only one spoon. That means we have to share the responsibility to ensure that the dish is never empty, which includes taking care of the land and the creatures we share it with. Most important, there are no knives at the table, representing that we must all keep the peace. As settlers and newcomers, we have been invited into this treaty of peace, friendship, and respect. In that spirit, we honor all who came before us, our own ancestors, as well as all the Indigenous caretakers, named and unnamed, recorded and unrecorded. Todd, can I ask you to please speak to the smudge?
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Today I was burning one of our sacred medicines, sage, and it's to bring positive energy to this meeting and to this place that we're here, and that we're all here in a good way. Um, we're joining a circle together here. It becomes a circle of friends that after we're finished today, that circle will last forever. The smoke coming out of this shell is sharing those intentions with our Creator today. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Todd. Todd Jameson is an artist and educator. A member of the Oneida of the Thames First Nation, his art is representative of the early native one-dimensional drawings recovered throughout North America. Some years ago, Aurora Public Library was privileged to feature his work in the Colleen Abbott Gallery. Beautiful paintings, including many on non-traditional mediums, such as wood, drums, and spirit lures in beautiful shadow boxes. I love those. Since 2007, Todd has been assisting teachers in delivering Native studies as part of the Ontario curriculum, presenting classes in the York Catholic District School Board, and conducting teacher workshops with Durham District School Board, York Region District School Board, Peel District School Board, and the Grand Erie District School Board. His work is driven by the intention to share his culture and raise awareness to its richness and beauty. At the end of today's workshop, you're invited to ask Todd your questions by submitting them in the Q&A. And as this is a hands-on workshop, we'd love those who are interested to stay on after the closing slides so that we can enable your video and you can share your drawings. Please note that this event is being recorded. So Todd, over to you. I have my colored pencils ready and I'm going to join the audience now. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for having me. We are today going to explore a little bit about the importance of First Nations art. It is not just a way to express our feelings. It was our writings. We have been taught for many centuries now that the First Nations people had an oral tradition. There is no written history. They passed things down by telling stories. Not exactly true. Yes, we told those stories and it was part of our history, but our history is written. We did have ways. It's because our books and our writing were different than yours. They were pictures, they were symbols. The pictographs and petroglyphs that are found all over North America were ways of us to tell the people coming behind us things that were important. Where the fishing was good in the river, where it was good to find good shelter when the weather got bad. It was ways to tell who we were. It not only tells our history, but it tells our family lineage. Many of the different paintings that we do whether you're from the Bear Clan or the Wolf Clan or the Turtle Clan. Those make it a form of identification to us. So when we make these pictures and these paintings, and it doesn't have to just be a painting. Um, any of these designs can be done later on in wood or carved, but what it is an expression that tells our history and tells our stories. Now, not only First Nation stories, but your stories. As settlers, we all are indigenous from somewhere. Now, maybe you're Irish and your Celtic background, you are indigenous to there. If you are from France, you are indigenous of. So as we go further back in our histories, we are all indigenous from somewhere. Um, these pictures and these ideals can lead us back to our beginnings, all of us. So I find it very important that if I can pass this on to you and we can start um, learning about each other, it makes us closer together. It makes that gap a little bit less. So today we are as a group going to learn about our birth totems. Now, the birth totem is it's not a spiritual totem. It's almost like a horoscope. It is an animal or a figure that represents the month that we were born. Now, in First Nations culture, we actually had 13 months because we used the lunar calendar. So there would have been 13 animals, 13 different months. Because of a 28-day cycle, there are actually 13. In the standard calendar, there are 12. Each animal that we are going to discuss today represents a different month. So January has an animal that is associated with it. So what I would like to do is we are going to talk about those totems a little bit. First, we're going to have a look at some totems. We're going to have a look at, and then we're going to create one for ourselves. Now, the pictures that we are going to show you and that I'm going to share with you are examples. And if when we put them on the screen, you want to take a quick snapshot of it so you can use it as a template, please do that. If you're going to use it just to understand how we're doing it, I'm going to explain while we're working different ways and different things that can work and make this totem your own. So we are going to create today, and hopefully by the time we're done, we'll all have created a birth totem for ourselves that we can put on our desks or maybe put behind a piece of glass in a nice frame and keep it. So how about we all get started? Did everyone bring pencils and paper? I'm excited to get started. The first item, and if we could get the totems to be flashed up for us here, you can see here that each one now in January, they each have their own. They are explained. They understand who they are. January is the crow, and the crow is a very sociable and wants to shares things. And he brings personal satisfaction to everything he does. This is the characteristics of that crow. So for those of you born in January, if you want to take a snapshot of that crow to use as a template, now it doesn't have to be just the large crow. It can be, we'll discuss as we get further in how things can change. So February is the turtle. Now, those of you who are turtles are very calm and serene people. They're known as keepers of the earth. We call Earth Turtle Island, and it's part of who we are as First Nations people. The people of the earth, the turtle people, the February people, are those who carry on those secrets. Now, March is a funny one. I know we've all heard of the March hare. Well, we have been following this as the March as a rabbit for many, many, many years, long before the March hare. they are a very skittish group. They're very always on the go, but they're very mothering. It's they are always looking after family. They are caregivers. Now the wolf. The wolf is also very. This is an either or scenario. They're very friendly and tame, or they're wild and vicious. Um, if it's an alpha, you assert your dominance. If you're submissive, you take the dominance but you are always part of the group. Now, traditionally, the wolf clan is the group of chieftains because they are the ones that live within the group and know what's best for the group because of their hierarchy. Now, May is the moose, and the moose is the largest land animal here in North America. Full-grown bull moose is over 8 feet tall, 1,500 pounds, but very handsome, very strong, very sturdy animals. Um, they're also one of the most dangerous animals in North America, but full of pride and a handsome look. Now, eagles. Eagle people are always very regal and very they believe that they are ahead of everyone else and above those. It's because of the great ideals that they have. They fly higher than any other. Their talons are stronger than any other. They believe they are the best. So that gives them a hierarchy and how it makes them the majesty of the eagle even stronger. Now, July. Now, July is the top of the food chain in the Great Lakes here. Um, Full-grown pike can grow up to 50 inches. They've been known to eat small deer, anything that falls in the wood, into the water. Very strong, voracious hunters, and always aggressive. For those who are fishermen, as soon as a lure or a piece of bait hits the water, if there's a pike near, there's always violence. They attack it, and it's a very exciting thing to see. Now, raccoons. Generally, when we talk about raccoons in these groups, everyone's, oh, a raccoon, they're garbage eaters. Oh, they're pests. Oh, well, raccoons are actually very, very smart and neat. The problem that we think and we believe they're pests is because we are taking over their habitat and they are just surviving and they have learned to survive by what we throw away. So they are a little mischievous, but they are also very, very neat, very tidy, and very smart, an intelligent group. Now, September the owl. Owls are messengers. Now, depending on which nation you're from, and this is also very important. I probably should have mentioned this at the beginning too. There are over 630 different nations here in North America. Each one has its own ideal of who and what these are. The owl is a messenger, and some of the nations on the plains, the Sioux nations and the Crows and the Cheyennes, it was the messenger of death. The Anishinaabe here believe he's the messenger from the spirit world. He brings ideals back from our ancestors. To us, the Haudenosaunee, they are messengers. They bring good news. They can bring news of a new birth. When you see an owl, it could mean that there is a birth coming to the family. It may also mean death. It is a message. It doesn't have to be um, always always wrong or dark, and that's the difference in our nations. Many of these nations see him as a spirit walker, and that's because they are so silent. When they fly at night, you can barely hear them. Even the flap of their wings is silent. So this is why they're considered messengers. Now, October. This is my favorite totem. Doves in nature mate for life. These are a representation of love and loyalty and friendship. They're also very calm. they need to be pushed a little. This is why when you see them, they're often hidden. They stay away from the other birds. But um, when we say they mate for life, and that is where the loyalty come from. They stay with the same mate until one or the other passes away, and then usually shortly after the other does too. It's that loyalty that brings them strength. That is why I love that totem the most. Now November. November is the beaver, busy as a beaver, we hear. Industrious group, but they are um they're I don't know the word, what's the word, homebodies. I've used there to represent them. They like to stay at home. They build their homes, they build their dens, they build their lodges. They rarely stray far enough to get more, to repair their homes, to make the dams, to make things strong. These are the importance. This is an industrious group. They're the builders. They're the builders of the worlds. Uh, so this is November, the beaver. Now, finally, my favorite is December, and he's the bear. I am born in December, so my birth totem is the bear. I'm also a member of the bear clan, so I'm a double bear. We are today, when we decide which totem we are doing, we are going to discover different ways, and I will show you a few ways that we can do these so that it becomes an ideal of what we're going to do here. Okay. Now, the idea of the first idea that we want to do today is we want to symbolize these animals in a faction that is two-dimensional or one-dimensional. So we are going to quickly do. I do them very quickly. I'm sorry. We are going to draw a bear because this is my totem, and in that bear, it doesn't have to be a full picture of a bear. It can be just a representation. Being, how about a bear paw? Maybe just a paw. Maybe just the face. Maybe just the face of the bear is important. What it does though is gives you the start of what we are going to do. Now, just to show you how quickly this is, your sketches only have to be quick because it's not the finished work. Okay. Now, in pencil, you can see I drew the bear. Now, it's just the face. Part of the forehead is missing. It's all, but you can see that that is a bear. So that bear now represents who I am, my birth totem, my clan, who I am. Some people call me bear because of my size. I'm a fairly big man. So when I do bears, I mark myself with bears. Many of the paintings I have drawn in my lifetime are of bears. So we can continue this now, depending on what group you are and what totem you have. So if you are a turtle, you don't have to do a picture of a turtle like the one that's up here. Can you see the shell? Maybe you just do a picture of a turtle, just the shell coming down. That shell can be something that you can decorate after you've done your original picture of that. Same with any of these animals. A wolf, it can be just the paw, it can be the head. What are the most important parts of these animals? Say the beaver. I'll do a couple little ones here so you can see. The most important thing, like we want to look at things that are expressive about each animal. So if we're doing a beaver, the first thing you think about a beaver is large teeth because he chews trees and a big round flat tail. So your beaver could start, I can barely see it, like this, just a large tail. Maybe I'm going to have to switch like this. Let me switch to this so we can see better. Much better. So the teeth. So we are going to start our beaver with that shape, with the large tail. Do you see what I mean? If it's the turtle, we don't have to draw a turtle. We can do just the shell. We can do a top view. We can do a side view. We can do any view we like as long as we are drawing the turtle. So again, same thing. It only needs to be very quick because we're going to start coloring that in with other shapes. The wolf. Now, the difference between a wolf and a bear is a wolf has pointy ears. And a bear has round ears. Bear. And wolf. So you can see it's about bringing the characteristics of each animal to light here. So when we start this, please be ready to start whenever you like. I will start. Again, we are going to now learn about it. It's about giving it space, giving it a bit of creativity. So I will start by covering this bear over again in darker so we can see it. So as we are beginning, can everyone please begin putting together a small diagram of what you think your animal is going to look like. Now, again, it doesn't have to be the whole bear. It can be a part of the bear. It can be just the tail, the short tail of a bear. That's another important one of our the Haudenosaunee stories is why the bear has a short tail. So when we told those stories, we were drawing a bear with a short tail. Okay, so as we get further into our picture here, you can make different additions or stories to it. Now, another thing that we are going to talk about today, especially like the pictographs, are how they told stories. Now, again, a pictograph does not have to be a very detailed or type of painting where it looks like a lifelike or like a portrait. Okay, my bear is ready to be colored. You can see that at the top of it, I've put a bear paw, another representation. Now, knowing about a bear has on its front paw 5 toes that go forward. If it's a wolf, it only has 4 toes because the 5th toe is up in top. It's called a dew claw. So if you're going to do a wolf paw, you do that. Again, it doesn't have to be a life size or a landscape type of portrait. Again, it can just be representations. The bear paw is very important. And telling these stories while we do it is all part of it. When you finish your picture today, I hope you can tell a story about how it represents you. If you are the Beaver, how you really believe that you are industrious and that there isn't anything that can stop you. You are the one that builds enough to stop the water. The strength that you have as the beaver. The rabbit, you know, the speed, the kind of how to survive when there are all the predators around and you still are there to look after your family. These are the kind of stories you can tell after you get your picture drawn. So again, as we go, the next part to my drawings, and this is just a personal thing, I always put a picture of the creator in it. Now, this is my interpretation. It's like a yellow sun. But the Haudenosaunee people, my people, believe that everything has an energy, whether it's alive, whether it's the trees, the stones, and that, or the earth itself. Now, that energy is given to us by the creator. And that's what that symbol means to me. That symbol is, and with this line, it's almost like a line of current. It is what gives every image, everything in life, power and energy. So I add that to every painting. Now you can see in all my paintings, there's one behind the tree. There's one at the top of this turtle. Every painting that I have has one of those in it, and that's because it gives energy and life. Now, I think as we keep going here, we can start to use the pencil crayons and start making color, start adding color to our pictures. So once you get you have started your and have a design, the coloring part is something that is very personal. Now, originally, First Nations artists and First Nations storytellers had only natural colors. So we could only use colors like green and red and like a purple from berries. We would crush those berries. How many of you have ever been strawberry picking? And when you're finished, you look down, your hands are red. It's from the juice of those berries. We use that to make color. So, but with the invention of, in most cases, using maybe acrylic paint or watercolor paints or any paint, there are a vast array of colors. There is no such thing as a traditional color now because there are so many. Now, a color I use a lot of is the purple of the quahog shell, which is used by the Haudenosaunee people to build their wampum. It's white and purple. So purple is a very important color to the Haudenosaunee people. So when I'm coloring and I'm painting, I use a lot of purple in my pictures so that people know that I'm Haudenosaunee because of the amount of purple that I use. So it's in almost every painting that I use because it's also another form of showing who I am. The identification of that purple and that the shapes and who I am, the Bear Clan done in purple, shows that I am Haudenosaunee and of the Bear Clan. So I use a lot of it, many different forms and colors, different shades, always just a little bit different. I'm never worried about what color it's going to be or how it's going to turn out. I spend the time doing it. I spend the time putting the color in. I want to share that color. I want it to be a form of expression. So that's the other part of this art. Expression, personal expression. No one needs to say, "Oh, but I'm not much of an artist." Well, we're all artists. It's a matter of how we see things, how we like. So when we are coloring, it's only so if you would rather use red because you think red is a more a more expressive color of who you are and how you feel. Blue, if you'd rather use blue, green, whatever color you find. Expression is an important thing to artists. I've done bears that are green, depending on how I'm feeling that day. And the green makes them look like frogs, but I'm still the artist. So I know it's a bear and I've painted the bear. So this is what my how I have expressed myself that day. Now, it doesn't mean that the next time I do it, it'll be green again. Maybe it'll be blue. Maybe it'll be yellow. I change all the time. The only common one for me is the purple. The purple is a very common color for Haudenosaunee artists. It's used in our traditional flag. It's who we are. Much of our regalia for dancers who are Haudenosaunee, they use purple as part of the coloring scheme and who they are. You know, the beak is black, the feet are black, the claws are black. It doesn't lead to much expression. Because we're artists, a crow can be any color. A crow can have yellow and blue in it. A crow can have shades of green mixed into the feathers, the light, the the lines within the feathers and the quills. Again, it's about expression. Let's not just color it black and say, here, I did my crow. Um, Again, expression is very important to what we're doing today. So how are we all doing? I hope we're doing well. I seem to be rambling a little bit while we're talking, but while we're painting, um, I will give you some other things. Part of the uh, the allure of First Nations art as a storyteller, it not only tells history or family lineage, it's how we used to explain the things we didn't understand. As people of the earth, we would watch and we would try to understand why the bear doesn't have tail. So that story becomes like a legend. Um, it's how we explained the things we saw, not only the bear, but why. I'll use the bear because it's a very important part to who I am as the Bear Clan. But why does the bear sleep through the winter time? Now our stories tell that he had a great race with a turtle around the lake, and he ran and he ran and he ran, and every time he looked ahead of him, the turtle's head popped up. And he ran faster, and he would look ahead, and the turtle's head would pop up again. What he didn't know was they were all different turtles, and they were playing a trick on Bear. Now, he had ran around the whole lake and was exhausted, and he fell asleep. Now, what happened to him? He fell asleep, and he stayed asleep all night. Not just all night, he slept into the next day, and the day after, and it began to snow. And then he slept through the whole winter. This is why bears hibernate, because of the great race with turtle. Now, it's because of the pride that the bear had that he had to beat the turtle, and why he didn't stop until he was completely exhausted. This is part of who we tell our stories about, being the pride within the Bear Clan, and how we never quit. Why there's we when we start the job, we continue and we work hard. Now, because I'm a bit ahead while talking, how about I show you what I've done so far? There is my bear. Now, with the bear paw on top, and it's done in purple, showing we're Haudenosaunee. Now, let's say again, and here we are. This is the way that you're going to, by using color, you can express who you are. Maybe for Irish, parts of your wolf can have green in it, or your rabbit, or your raccoon. If you are French Canadian, the light turquoise blue of the fleur de lis. You can maybe put the fleur de lis inside the rabbit, or the bear, or whoever you are, if you are French Canadian. You find symbols to put within your image to show who you are. Mine, the purple paw at the top, shows that I am Haudenosaunee. We find ways. It's symbolism. The symbolism of that color and the idea inside it shows who I am. So I hope you're all coming along well. I can give you some other ideas too. This is something it's not something you have to finish tonight either. Let me find another paper here. When we talk about all the things that are that we are wanting to express what they are, every animal has an extenuating feature. So again, I was showing some with the turtle and the shell, the wolf and the bear with the rounded ears and the paws. Maybe the raccoon. What are the things we see of the raccoon? Of course, we see the black mask, the dark mask on the eyes, the thief. Also, how about in his body at the tail? That striped tail. That's another way that you can show your raccoon. Again, and we're trying to find ways and show things that make him making your image decipherable, so people can say, "Oh, that must be an eagle." The eagle has the bald eagle with the white feathers on the head. That's one way you can show that it's a bald eagle. The long claws of its powerful talons shows that it's a great hunter. The eagle feather in itself, the way that we image the eagle feather with the dark tips. As soon as you see that image, it's the first thing you think of is the eagle. So you can see that it's all about finding something uh, in your character that you can manipulate to show who they are. Something that you can put in that picture that shows that you are who is who there, right? Now, not only who you are, but how about your family? Do you know if people who are clans, uh, people who have understood who they were, who their families were? Many, especially like in Britain, your family were cobblers, or you could add something like that. You could add a shoe somewhere inside your image. Maybe your family were always part of the army. Well, maybe you could put a poppy on there, or something to represent what your family does and what they're known for. That's another way to decorate the painting that you're doing today. Um, Another thing that you can think of at another point is doing it as a family portrait. Your animals, instead of having your mom, your dad, the picture of you and your brother or sister, you have the animals in that. So if your dad is born in December and he's the bear and your mother's a wolf, you put a wolf and a bear together, and that becomes a family totem. So again, you can change all of those ideas, and it doesn't have to be um, again like a portrait. Um, you could, if you were doing the family one of each, and have the two big ones in it, and then the two children or three children in front. Even if they were all bears, maybe they were all born in December, but then you have a family unit of bears. It's a way to show um, who we are based on the way we were born in nature, and that is the main part of who First Nations people were. We are what like Ms. Mendelhorn said in the land acknowledgement, the keepers of the earth, those that understood and respected the earth. These are parts of the things that go into these totems. It's about respecting the animal, respecting our place. Well, we need to remember he was here long before us, so we are very now learning more and more about understanding our place in the circle of things here. We are not just the main uh, top of the food chain and the ones that are. We have to look after everything, because when we lose one, we lose a lot of other things. It leaves a hole in the circle. So that also incorporates First Nation spirituality. It's about being part of the circle, not being on top of it or being below it, but being a part of it. So we're experiencing that with these paintings. We are exploring our natural um, affiliation with our world. I hope you're all getting close. Now we can we can talk a little bit more about when I do family portraits based on these totems. I have done quite a few of them. We are also, as a First Nations community in the Haudenosaunee, a matriarchal society, which means our women are our leaders. It's the women who are the keepers of the family, keepers of um, the family lines. It's about who your mother is, not who your father is. So many of the family portraits that I do, um, the main figure in those family portraits is the the mother, and that way it's the whole family is centered around the uh, the female object or totem that is in the picture that I've done. So, uh, being a matriarchal system, it's kind of like what we believe is that we follow our mother's lineage, not our father's. So, um, if our mother is Bear Clan and our father is Wolf Clan, when you are born into the Wolf Clan, your mother's family line. This was a way for us to keep families from um, marrying into each other. You had to marry someone from another clan. You can't marry someone from your own clan. So depending on the size of the nation, there are many different nations um, that have more clans than others. My clan, my nation, the Oneida, only has three: the bear, wolf, and turtle. Others, like the Onondaga, have seven. Uh, so depending on the size of the nation, they had more clans. And these clans, each one had a responsibility to the community. Um, the bears in Oneida were the keepers of the knowledge, keepers of the medicine. Um, Throughout history, we watched the bears, and you could tell if a bear was sick by the way it moved, by the way it ate, how much water it drank or didn't drink. And then we would watch what it ate to make itself healthy again. It's how we learned about the medicines. It would dig a certain root if we noticed that it had a stomach problem. If it had lots of gas, or there was a problem in its stomach. Um, if it maybe had an infection and you could see it and it was limping, it would eat certain things and it would make it the infection go and become strong again. We knew that we could use that also. Um, that's how we became the keepers of the medicine. Um, the Wolf Clan, again, because of the hierarchy in the system of a wolf pack, they were generally the chiefs and they looked after tribal business. Um, and then, of course, the Turtle Clan, they were the farmers, keepers of the earth. You had to keep the the earth fertile so that it would continue to produce food for you. It's the Turtle Clan that understands the ideas of the earth. Also, and again, because they represent the turtle itself, Turtle Island. So these clans look after each other. We are fed by the Turtle Clan so that we, as the Bear Clan, can use those foods and medicines to keep us all healthy. And the Wolf Clan keeps us in line when it's time to hunt, when it is time to plant, when it's they were the ones that organized and set the things up. So those traditional forms of clans and families um, made our communities very communal, very easy to. Um, you knew your job, you knew your place. But everyone in the community, their place was of great importance. It didn't matter who you were, whether you were Bear, or whether you were a firekeeper or someone who gathered wood. Without enough wood, people would starve. So your job was very important. As a firekeeper, if the fire went out, people could freeze. Your job was very important. If you were the planter of the corn and you didn't and the corn didn't grow and harvest, that means people would starve. Your job was very important. So everything right down to collecting water was a very important job. So even as the warriors would hunt and defend, everyone had uh, the job to hunt and provide for the group. Young kids, the younger generation would set small traps near the village, and they would catch rabbit, squirrel, other small fur-bearing animals to help feed those uh, the large war parties were out getting deer and moose, large animals that would feed many for a long time. In between, they had to eat. So they would put deer meat in everyone's soup. Everyone would get a little bit of soup. But the next day, they added water and maybe some rabbit. So they were still getting protein. They had corn that had been dried. They added that to give them the vitamins they needed. Squash and beans were added to this soup also to give them vitamins to keep them strong. Until the protein of the deer and the moose came. There was always a cycle of food, and everyone had a hand in it. So you can see that we were uh, kind of a communal community that looked after each other. Everyone's job was important. If you were a clothes maker, if you were making clothes so that people didn't freeze, that's an important part because if you didn't make enough clothing and people, when it started to get cold, didn't have a jacket to keep warm or a blanket to cover themselves with, they could freeze and die. It was all about the survival of the community. This is our main ordeal, and it's also part of it is the main part of our our spirituality is understanding survival and our part in it, not just looking after the elders and the young ones. It's looking after everyone. Everyone holds a part. So we're very excited that the opportunity to share this culture in this time through something as fun as drawing pictures and doing artwork. But it's also about sharing and learning the culture and learning about who we are. Um, we're coming up on a very important day. Um, Orange Shirt Day on September 30th. It's very important. We need to understand that we are still here. We're a vibrant culture. We're still here. Our stories are still here, even though they seem uh, um, difficult for you to read because they aren't written in a book. You can't read it and understand it. You have to hear it from someone who has heard it and read it from these pictures, who heard it from someone else who's heard it. So our culture is vibrant. We're alive. We're still strong, but we're ready to share. We need to share. Um, Part of reconciliation for all of us is that we share with each other. Um, we need to understand both ways. We have to be forgiving, but while we learn to be um, who we are. But you need to be understanding with us too how we're trying to move forward with you. So this is a very important part. So I thank you for the opportunity to be here doing that with you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Todd. And from our attendees, I hope everybody's been drawing. And during the Q&A, you can continue finishing up. But if you have a question for Todd, if you start typing it in the Q&A, I will ask it. And while people are typing, I wouldn't mind starting off with a question, if you don't mind.
Certainly, please.
So I wonder, when you yourself create your work, do you go out into nature with a sketch pad? Do you meditate? How do your images, how do they come to you so that you can then transfer them onto, be it paper, canvas, or wood, or bark, or?
That's a great question. What happens for me is my mind starts rolling. From the minute I wake up, there's something going on. I don't use a sketchbook, so to say. I have 1,000 pieces of paper like this, and I'll have an idea in my head. A perfect example, about a month ago, I had just come into my studio. I looked out the window. I have a big, large window looking up. There was a blue jay hovering right in the apple tree, that was it. I grabbed a piece of paper out of the print and all I do is get the figure of it. It doesn't have to be exact. I write on the side, blue jay, fluttering, and then I get the image and then it goes in a drawer. 3 weeks later, I thought, oh, I should paint that blue jay. So then I pull that sketch out and then I get my, what I'm gonna paint on or what I'm gonna work on, and I start to put it on there. I don't always finish it that day. Some days, oh, I don't feel like that today. I'll try something else. That goes to the side. But um, every day I see something. There is something, or I hear something, or I get challenged a lot. I have a friend who's a falconer who works at the Toronto airport with his falcons. He has a Geyer falcon, and he said to me, he says, maybe you should paint my Geyer one day. Well, I was on his site and I saw him. That's what I did. The image of that Geyer falcon came to me as I was doing it, just from the paper. And so it's inspiration on a daily basis. It's inspiration on things I hear. Um, Inspiration on uh, things that are happening in my life, things that are happening in our world. I did a very important piece, and I hope you'll give me 3 seconds to kind of promote it. It's a nice when they found the first group of children at the residential schools. My oldest son, tweeted a poem that he wrote, and it hit me so hard. I cried for about an hour, like fierce tears, not just a little bit, but I cried. And it's not just because of the children they found, but it's that I realized my son all this time, even as much as I give them and can give them of our First Nation culture and who we are, we're busy. Kids are busier now. I didn't know that they were getting it. You can sit and talk to them and and they're, yeah, I gotta go. Yeah, that's good. You're never sure if they're really hearing. When I read that poem, I knew that my 30-year-old son got it. So, um, while I was sitting here and I was crying away, and I read it about 10 times, and every time I read it, I cried harder. I did the painting. I did a painting of a bear with a large teardrop coming down. That was the Bear Clan. That is the whole Bear Clan. That is the Bear Clan of every nation in North America crying for those souls. Eventually, we got a limited edition prints made of it, and we were selling it. And every penny of those that I sold went to the Orange Shirt Society. So it's not just about things you see and man, that's beautiful. It's what you feel also. Right. So this is, the inspiration comes from many places, not just, walking through the woods or being part things that really emotionally affect me. These are things that I paint also.
Thank you. We have a question, a statement and
Okay.
a question from Jamie. Jamie says, thank you so much. I teach grade 7, 8, and often speak about Indigenous culture. I would love to incorporate this exercise into a class activity. How would you feel the best way to assure people that this is in respect and not appropriation?
That is a great question. I think using the totems is a good way. You can go online and find many totems, but when you're talking about it, make sure the students realize you aren't teaching them that. It's coming from somewhere else. It's about our culture and who we are. The other part that makes it very difficult is that there are 650 different nations here. I know that when I run things like this, people say, "Well, I read somewhere that November meant I was an eel." Maybe you were, but maybe that's Mi'kmaq, maybe that's Haida, maybe I'm Oneida. I'm part of the Haudenosaunee Nation. These were the birth totems that we use in this area. So it becomes very difficult to pass that on if you're not First Nations. If you're going to use it, make sure the research you've done. These are the birth totems of the Cherokee people, of the Haudenosaunee people, so that they know that you have not taken it, but you've taken the context from somewhere else as that. Creativity is one thing. Appropriation to me is when the kids come, look, I'm producing native art. No, you're creating art, not native art, not First Nations art. It may be First Nations inspired, and you can even say that this was First Nations. It's not appropriated if you're trying to teach. And if you say that I got this information from about this nation, you're in good shape. And there are many different ways. I mean, if you go online and you Google spirit totems, you're gonna get 50 different. They may say, oh, it's not even done by this, done by the moon you were born under, or which is legitimately how it was supposed to be done. So you have to interpret where you're getting it from and say this is from the Anishinaabe people of the northern Manitoba, and then you can say, and this is why we're doing it. And I think you're safe then.
I'm so happy that we have at least one teacher on this.
Mm-hmm.
See if we have any questions, but that actually leads me into asking you a question, and that is, what is the best way for those of us who are parents and teachers of teaching children about truth and reconciliation? And as a second, what is the best way to educate ourselves if we're just starting out on that journey? How do we ask the right questions?
I think right now the biggest question you got, if you like, I have for about the last 5 years. I've been doing this for a long time, long before the TRC was even started. And the question I always got was, how do I learn more? Well, I can't teach you what took me a lifetime to learn. If you are starting today, imagine starting. It's like starting all over again. None of us are experts. None of us. When we talk about the elder, well, the elder said, well, that elder who speaks those words was taught by someone else. The words that they are speaking are being taught. So it's a matter of learning. Do a lot of webcasts, go on to a lot of podcasts, go on to where you're hearing First Nations voice, what they're feeling, how they're doing. When the Truth and Reconciliation Commission started, there was a lot of anger. That has changed too. No, we understand. Yes, we realize that most people didn't know this is a big conspiracy. Nobody like now we can share. So now there's a form of sharing. Find someone who's First Nations. Find someone who has either lived it or known it, and don't grill them. But say, if you're willing, do you think we could talk about it? That is the best way. Because just because we're First Nations doesn't mean I'm an expert on truth and on residential schools. It happened to my kids in school. My son was in grade 12. Well, you're First Nations. How do you feel about it? My son yes, he's First Nations. He's that, but he's lived here in Brampton almost his whole life. He knows, the only thing he knows about reserve life is when we go home and visit. It's a place to visit. It's like, wow, that was kind of weird. So don't expect everyone to be an expert, and just be very, very, I don't want to say that, I'm trying to think of the word, but be cautiously slow about how you're pulling information from someone. That's all. There are many, many, many good resources though. Good Minds Canada, goodminds.com is a very good one. They are a publishing company, a book resource center out of Six Nations. They have over 3,000 titles where you can write from young. Oh, I lost my orange shirt, to what happened in residential schools, and actual So what they can give you, you can find there. And then it's becoming true, authentic voice. That is the main part of what we need to hear is authentic voice, not secondhand.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions from our attendees? I'll just wait one moment and see if anybody types anything in. Okay, in that case, as our evening comes to a close, I would like to thank Todd Jameson for his teachings, Lucy Frechette for her tech support in the background, and most especially to our guests for spending your evening with us. And if you're willing to share your drawings, please stay on the webinar after the closing slide, and we'll turn everybody, or Lucy will turn everybody's cameras on, and we'll see what we've come up with. So thank you so much, Todd. Everybody hang in here who doesn't mind being shown. And Lucy, if you take us out, we'll see what we have at the end of the evening. Oh, I'm just going to say one other thing, Todd.
Yeah.
A comment from one of our attendees. Thank you for sharing this beautiful experience.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure. Thank you very much. Again, it's an opportunity to share. It's an opportunity to learn, without it being reading from a book and this is the day. This is what it's a chance to just talk, and that's the that makes it easier to learn that way. I find even in a classroom setting, I don't sit at the front. I sit with the kids and we talk. That's all.
Thank you, and good night, everyone. And stay safe. So, Lucy, if you can open up everybody's cameras, and we will see who would like to share the work they were doing while we were listening to Todd guide us. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening. And Todd, as always, I hope our paths cross again.
I'm sure they will. Thank you very much.